Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are stories and adventures. So welcome to Moose Flats Farm. And today we're going to be planting the potatoes. I'll explain what we did to make our potato bed, show you the different varieties I've got to plant, and we'll show you how to plant potatoes. So as far as the bed itself, Kiesel, no, stay out of the bed. As far as the bed itself, this is going to be new ground that we broke this year. David John, this soil has never really been taken care of. So David John went through and tilled the native soil. We have added a bag of perlite, a bag of vermiculite, about 15, 20, so that would be 30 to 40, because the wheelbarrow I used is the big 2 cubic foot, I think. No, it's bigger than that. It's the big double-wheeled wheelbarrow. Holds a lot of shavings and duck manure, and because duck manure is cold, we were able to add it directly in here. So a whole bunch of shavings and duck manure has been added into here. Yeah, I think that's everything that we've amended this with. He did go through and heavily rototill all the additives we've added to this to make it nice and loamy. And then we went through and created 5 mounded hills. They are about 18 inches to 2 feet wide and 20 feet long. So we should be able to get in at least 10 potatoes per row. They are planted a foot apart, and how I'm going to be doing it is I'm going to use my post hole digger to dig a hole. We'll put the potato in and then cover it with about 3 inches of soil. Here probably in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, once the potato has broke through that soil, we'll come back and cover it with some more soil and until the hole is completely full, and then we'll go over and cover this whole bed with pine shavings. So now let's go to the trailer and I'll show you the different varieties we're going to be planting. And I did make labels for when we are putting them in, so we can in reality find out what ones are good for our area and what ones didn't perform as well. So we've got the Ranger Russets, Huckleberry Gold, and these ones are purple skinned with the yellow insides. The Norland Dark Red, Viking Purple, Yukon Gold, the Red Potomac, careful not to break off in the eyes, and I had a couple of the grocery store little red potatoes that had started to bud out, so we're also going to plant these guys. And typically, if they get any bigger than this, like this guy here, I probably should have gone through and cut these guys like 2 days ago and let them scab over. But I probably have more potatoes than what's going to fit in this bed, so I didn't want to multiply my quantity. We'll see how this works out, because all of them have a mix of the right size and a little on the too big side. And I did have them in the garage in a dark, cool room, and even there they've started to sprout. So when we're planting them, because they definitely have an upside to them, we're going to be planting them with the upside up. So let's start getting these guys planted. And as you saw in the time lapse, I was using this little shovel. The post hole actually works better. So you're going to take your potato, put him down in the ground with the sprouts poking up. And I've gone through, because we need to go a foot apart, and this paint stir stick is 12 inches long, and I've marked for 3, 6, and 9, so I can set it in the hole and gently fill to the 3-inch mark. And then, as I said, as it's breaking ground, we'll cover it again. And it's like this one, if I stopped at the 3-inch mark, a bunch of the tips would be exposed, so I am going to fill it a little fuller. So I'm gonna turn the GoPro on time lapse and bust out a bunch of these potatoes. So there got that potato bed planted. So this potato bed holds 65 potatoes with an average of between 5 and 6 per potato. So we'll get between 325 potatoes, or between 325 and 390 potatoes approximately out of this bed. And I do have several left over. It's like the Rustler, the Ranger Rustler, I didn't have any space for, but I do have one of the big beds up in the garden. That last fall I'd planted garlic in and it had started to sprout and it didn't make it through the winter. I just went up and checked and it's all rotted out. So we're gonna go up there and plant the rest of the potatoes in that bed. So this is the bed that I had garlic in that started to grow up last year and then has died back. And the big oregano plant, gonna go through, prune that up. And because this was the garlic bed, it's got a good 6-8 inches of pine shavings over the top of it that we're going to have to remove. And we'll just put it in this wheelbarrow that I really don't use. So we'll have it for once these potatoes start growing up. This is another method. You can either take pine straw, you could even use hay, or like we're going to be doing, we're going to be using the pine shavings. As the potatoes grow up, we'll just cover them with the pine shavings. So let's see if we can get this bed kind of cleaned out and emptied and see how many more potatoes we can get in here. So unfortunately, this is going to be a complete no-go because the ground is still completely frozen in the middle, and it looks like a few of the garlic are trying to push up through. So I'll just take those potatoes, put them back in the storage room in the garage, and talk with David John. Maybe we can come up with another place for them. which is a bummer because he really wanted the Ranger russets planted. So, and I think pulling all those shavings off will help this bed thaw. So let's get this mess cleaned up and go in and start transplanting tomatoes because they need to get up potted. Well guys, it's a good thing we decided that we couldn't do the potatoes because it started to rain and I would have had to turn the camera off anyway. So we're going to be working on getting our tomatoes up potted. And the really cool thing about tomatoes, as opposed to like basically everything else out there, when you plant them deep, they will grow roots. Let me flip this out to make sure the camera focuses. So, come on. Up and down their stalk are all these little tiny hairs that you can kind of see. All of those hairs will grow into roots when we plant them. So we're going to plant them about to that leaf joint, the very first leaf they had. So let's get to getting these guys planted, and I will switch to the GoPro so you can see how I'm planting them. So what I typically do is I'll go through and pull 15 tomato plants out, and their soil was a little damp, so I didn't get as much of the starter medium around them, but they should be fine. And I pull 15 because that's the amount that fits in my tray. I will go through, make a nice deep indentation, take the little tomato, pop them in there, and then just lightly backfill around, and then just tamp the soil down around him. Trying not to step on Kiesel. Well guys, I got a big chunk of the tomatoes transplanted. Thank you for hanging out with me today, getting most of the potatoes done. and a bunch of the tomatoes transplanted. So this is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye for now.